dumb down the population of this world to believe the most amazingly bizarre fantasy world type stories, more so than what you see in the movies. When you see in the movies, you see a guy with a pistol, and he shoots the pistol 472 times without reloading, and nobody questions this. You people, this is factual. You people, I don't know what kind of an education you have. I just don't know what's lacking in your education. Daisy, do me a favor. Shut the door, please. The light's coming right in from behind me. I don't know what's lacking in your education. It's just amazing. I'm beside myself with the ignorance that the people of not just this world, but more specifically the people of YouTube, you people have no understanding of the physics of things in general. You keep ridiculing me because you believe that the earth is round, yet water seeks its own level. That's a constant throughout what we call the world. Water seeks its own level. That's why they call it a water table. That's why you use a water level. Now, in regards to the picture of the thumbnail, which I'll show you, I have up on the screen, but I'm doing something else right now. The beams in the World Trade Center were bigger in width and depth than your biggest refrigerator that you can buy on the market. Let's say you could buy a 30 cubic foot Amana refrigerator, which is like 48 inches by 34 inches deep, maybe 48 by 34. The beams were bigger than that, and they were this thick. Now, at the top of the World Trade Center, the beams were 4 inches thick, 36 inches wide, and 22 inches in depth. The beams were this thick, the core columns that they said gave way. That when you saw the collapse of the World Trade Center, the core columns that were this thick at the top of the World Trade Center by 36 by 22, and this thick at the bottom of the World Trade Center, which were 52 by 36. And when all the floors pancake down, which we'll get to in a minute, the beams at the bottom they should have shot up through the top of the building and then folded over like half a block away, but they didn't do that. They were all in pieces. You saw it on TV. Donald Trump said that it was impossible for it to happen. Every physics, any person that had anything to do with physics and or building construction said that's not possible. And why is it not possible? Because a barbecue that you have in your backyard, the metal is not much thicker than about 10 sheets of paper. You put charcoal in the barbecue. That's correct. You put charcoal in the barbecue. Charcoal burns, I don't know, 1,000 degrees. A little bit above 1,000 degrees. Charcoal, a good type of charcoal. Dennis Adam would know the good charcoal. Okay, that burns at 1,000 degrees. The Italian brawler, he would know. The planes were full of chemtrail. The charcoal melts. Charcoal burns at about 11. I remember making lead sinkers when we were a kid. We got lead from the pipes when we reclaimed the land from Jones's Beach. We used to bring back 1,000 pounds of lead from the knuckles in the pipes, and we'd make sinkers for days. I remember making sinkers when I was about 10 or 11 years old. 1,000 pounds of lead sinkers. We had sinkers for the rest of our lives. Still to this day, there's wire with 50, 60 sinkers from everywhere from 1 or 2 ounces to 16, 18-ounce sinkers. Anyway, lead, and we melted it with charcoal. But barbecues put charcoal in the barbecue. The barbecues don't melt. When did you ever see a barbecue while you're making a barbecue? When did you ever see the screen melt or the grill melt? You never saw that. How can and the barbecue metal is 20 gauge metal. You don't understand the physics of things. You don't understand the basic concept. You've heard a story where the metal got malleable. But what the trusses got malleable when jet fuel burns at 450 degrees, and then that's what collapsed the building? Really? What about the columns that didn't stay together? They were monolithic columns. They were made in Japan and then assembled here in America. What about those columns that just fell down and then the pieces were cut on a 45-degree angle? It was clear as day in hundreds of pictures. What about the fact I could read you the NIST report? The NIST report says that the columns that held up the World Trade Center, I'll show it to you. The columns that held up the World Trade Center were hollow. They were not hollow. They were 4 inches thick at the top, 36 inches by 22 inches deep at the top. And then that was a webbed H column with a wrap at the end of the H filled up with high tensile strength, 2-inch high tensile strength steel. And then that was encased in an epoxy type concrete that actually flexed forever. It was built to last 150 years. And then that was encased in 1 inch of asbestos, as were the ceiling trusses. They were all meant to last 150 years. So I'm going to show you the NIST report. Okay. I'm going to show it to you. This is ridiculous. It's crazy. There's a conflict of opinion. The core structural system of the world twin towers have the floor diagram, the perimeter walls, and here is the core column right here. This is what the core column looked like. It was 5 inches thick. It was a 5-inch web. And then it had a 5-inch, a 3.5-inch I-beam in the middle, 3.5 inches. It was 22 inches wide. It was 54 inches deep. Do you people not understand that this is not possible to get cut on a 45-degree angle from the collapse of the floor? Do you people not understand that webbed beam right there, that was 5 inches of solid, special high tensile strength steel, all welded, and everything was riveted and welded together. And when the buildings collapsed, all of these things were cut on a 45-degree angle. How do you cut something like this? How does something like this cut? It would bend, it would wrap, it would roll over, twist, but it wouldn't fall apart in pieces. Now, let's find out. Where is that thing? Look at the size of this beam compared to this guy. It's 5 inches thick. These are the thin, this is the thin stuff they're showing you. They're not even showing you the thick stuff. This is a picture of the core column. And these core columns were shown on the day of 9/11 and the day after, that they were cut on a 45-degree angle. And yet you people believe that somehow, because the buildings collapsed, that this much steel can 52 inches by 22 inches, 5 inches thick, somehow cut itself on a 45-degree angle. These things would be in length, sticking up out of the World Trade Center like hairs or like wires sticking straight up for 100 feet or more, even if it pancaked around them. There's no way they would fall apart into 45-degree angled pieces. It's not possible. Larry, and of course, Larry Silverstein doubled the insurance, doubled the insurance for in case of a terrorist attack only 2 months before. It was a miracle that he foresaw that. It was like black magic that Larry Silverstein knew that the World Trade Center was somehow going to have a terrorist attack. So here is what I wanted to show you. Where did I lost it? Here it is. Core denial. Core denial. Core denial. Core denial. This is what 20 years of the 9/11 Commission report says. They deny the existence of core columns and say that the core columns were hollow steel shafts. You people are dummies. This is 9/11 for dummies. Anybody with any kind of... This stuff is still up on the internet. I'm surprised it's still there. And when did the NIST report come out? The day that a war started someplace in Iraq or Iran. So you never saw any real coverage of the NIST. It took 20 years. 20 years? Do you people not understand that the United States government, for instance, the Roswell report, took 50 years. 50 years for the Roswell report to come out. They're waiting for everybody that lied about the Roswell report to die so they can't be held accountable. The same thing is happening here. And you people with your lack of education, your lack of understanding. Again, I'm going to show you something. This barbecue here, this little barbecue, it's 20 gauge metal. You can burn charcoal in that barbecue for 25 years. And it won't melt, that little thin piece of metal. Now, I'll go into the statistics of jet fuel in a minute. So, jet fuel, and I know about jet fuel because I'm an A&P jet mechanic. Jet fuel has a burn temperature of 450 degrees, not aspirated, in other words, no wind blowing on jet fuel. Office furniture burns at about the same temperature, 450 degrees. There was 1 inch of asbestos, 1 inch of asbestos on the the girders. But forget about the asbestos. Let's just say you have an aluminum airplane which is this thick, about the thickness of a pencil lead. Not much thicker than that. Okay, and it hits a beam that's 54 inches by 22 inches and 5 inches thick. It would be like throwing an aluminum can at a building, and nothing would happen. An empty aluminum can, you could throw it as, you'd have to throw it in the air close to the speed of light for it to do anything. Moving past that, the planes hit the side of the building. Okay, that's what you think. And the planes were 175 feet wide and 35 feet high. And they caused the flames to burn for 45 minutes, but not at the Pentagon. At the Pentagon, the same size plane, theoretically, roughly, 100 tons of metal, 40 tons of fuel, hit the Pentagon with 40 tons of jet fuel in it, and it made a hole 8 feet in diameter, and no structural damage to the building around the hole. And how did that happen? That was a miracle. It was a miracle. It was a miracle, I tell you. It was black magic miracle. The plane, this is what happened at the Pentagon. This is the truth. The plane hit the building with such great force that when the plane hit the building, the wings swept back like this, back, wrapped around the tail section of the airplane. The plane hit the building so fast that as you become closer and closer to the speed of light, objects decrease in size. That's black magic. The plane was going so fast, 500 miles an hour. The plane was going 500, almost 500. The plane was going so fast that the wings swept back around the tail section of the airplane. The tail scrunched down around the wings. The plane was going so fast, close to the speed of light, that the plane shrunk. And then it went into the wall, and it made an 8-foot hole in the wall. And then 100 tons of steel, chrome molybdenum steel, stainless steel, aluminum, aircraft grade trusses, airlines, jet engines, 100 tons, I tell you, of aluminum, and it disappeared because it hit the building at almost 500 miles an hour. The wheels disappeared. The seats disappeared. The people, they disappeared. They really disappeared. And that went, and it made a whole 8 feet, and then it all disappeared. There's nothing in the building. Or they found one seat outside the building. How did the seat get outside the building? The whole plane, now 12 tons. The landing gear assembly weighed 24,000 pounds. The whole assembly with the wheels on it and everything, I think it was 24,000 pounds. The shock strut, the hydraulic, pneumatic, chrome molybdenum, stainless steel shock strut, which was like 8.5 inches in diameter and 14 feet long and weighed 24,000 pounds. The whole wheel assembly with the wheels and the rim, they disappeared. They were gone. There was none. None. Zero. There was no shock assemblies, no wheels, no rims, no tires, no rubber, no seats. And did I mention no people? You people. It's amazing how they've dumbed you down. It's beyond comprehension how stupid people are that you believe this stuff. It's impossible for 12 tons of shock strut that's 22 feet long from stem to stern. From the bottom of the wheels to the top of the aileron assembly. I think it's 22 feet. It weighs 12 tons. What happened to the engines that weighed 6 tons and were 8 feet in diameter? They disappeared too. We're talking black magic here. Go and look. I'll Google one for you. Go look at a real airplane. When I worked at Kennedy Airport, I was a driver for Stevens Air Freight on North Hangar Road. I actually drove a truck. Stevens Air Freight was located at the back of the airport on North Hangar Road. You could look that up. And on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, there was an airplane in the back of North Hangar Road. And every Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, from the time I was born to the time I left Howard Beach, Queens, every Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, you would see a tremendous amount of black smoke rise up from the airport. You didn't know where it was from my house, but when I worked on North Hangar Road for Stevens Air Freight, I would go by that, and what they would do is they would pump jet fuel onto an airplane, an aircraft, a jet aircraft, a hull, a melted aluminum hull. Every Friday they'd throw a couple of thousand gallons of jet fuel on the aircraft, and then they'd set that on fire every Friday at 2 o'clock, for the time I was born to the time I left Howard Beach. It was how the firefighters practiced fighting fires on aircraft. And on Friday afternoon, when I worked for Stevens Air Freight, if I went down that way, I'd get to see that probably from 200 or 300 feet away from the fence, and then it was another 500 or 600 feet inside the fence. But you'd be able to see them fighting the fire. And the plane was used over and over and over and over again for years. The same plane. You didn't have to work for Stevens Air Freight to go on North Hangar Road. It was open to the public. It was a shortcut back into the Rockaways, North Hangar Road. So you could have a regular car and drive down there. You could go there on Friday afternoon and watch them do it. It wasn't like it is now, where you can't go certain places. You could just go there and watch them put the fire out. So the plane never melted yet in a field in Pennsylvania. Oh, you people are so stupid. in the everything disappeared. Do you realize that the narrative. The narrative for why the plane disappeared when it hit the Pentagon is the plane. This is the United States government. The actual report. The plane hit the side of the building with the wings out, extended out 175 feet. So hard that the plane wings, the 12 tons of landing gear on each side, 6 tons of engine on each side, aircraft grade aluminum on the wings, the airlines, all these stainless steel shocks and struts and hydraulics. The hydraulic pistons were this thick on the strut. It hit the Pentagon so strongly, so fast, close to the speed of light, that it disintegrated into molecules. This is the United States government's narrative. It turned the wings and the landing strut and the engines into singular molecules when they hit the building, and then they fell down, and the molecules disappeared. Because when you reduce something to molecules, they say that the whole of the flat Earth will fit into the size of a basketball if all the molecules and atoms touched one another. And that's what happened. We're talking black magic here. The wings and the vertical stabilator in the back and the shocks and the engines and the people in the seats, everything just hit the building so hard that it turned into molecules, I tell you. Molecules. And you people believe this? Are you serious? All right, so now you go out to Sheepshank, Pennsylvania, wherever that was, Shanksville. Now the plane, now this is really black magic stuff. This is the kind of stuff that movies are made out of. The plane is not flying and hitting the ground. The plane is coming straight down into the ground. Somehow, black magic, the plane went straight down into the ground. This is true. This is true. I'm telling you, I saw it on TV. The plane didn't land on an angle and get dispersed. It came straight down. The plane had a wingspan of 175 feet. But, again, the wings swept back like on a fighter jet. They swept back because it was going so fast, close to the speed of light, closer to the speed of light than, I don't know, than a bicycle. And the wings swept themselves back, the airline, and it all went straight down into the earth. Now, wait, it gets better. Into the earth. It went straight down into the earth. The plane went down into the earth so far that it disappeared. And they couldn't find it. And they didn't try to find it because they said, well, there's a lot of people down there, ex-people down there in the hole. We'll just make that their resting place. There you go. And that's 9/11 for dummies. And there was no debris above the hole. There was a seat. There was a couple of pieces of flesh. No one knows what kind of flesh it was. There was no blood, per se. No engines, no landing gear, no fire. This is 9/11 for dummies, folks. So at Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the plane went down straight into the ground. And then when they went to look for the plane, it was so far into the ground that they said, we can't find the plane. It went down that far, went into the earth. Thousands of feet, I guess. I don't know. They didn't look for it. They said, we'll just leave that as the... You people, you eat this stuff up. And that's the kind of ignorance that we have on YouTube. That somehow you just let this stuff go by. Now, did you see any articles? I've been on the internet for days working with the drone videos, and I haven't seen an article pop up about the anniversary of 9/11. I had to look it up. If I didn't remember, excuse me, if I didn't remember that 9/11 was 9/11, I would have forgot all about 9/11. Not a single news feed, not a single article, not a single memorial. Oh, but the Queen. You saw my post on the Queen. The Queen is more important than the memorial of millions of people that were annihilated, slaughtered after 9/11 in the name of justice. And then when I did look it up, I saw an article that they still haven't prosecuted anybody for this? Really? I don't know, man. It's like black magic. I just don't believe that you people are that stupid, but I do believe you're that stupid, that you believe that an airplane first of all, airplanes don't crash straight down into the ground, number one. Number two, I don't care how fast an airplane is going, it can't penetrate more than 10, 15, 20 feet into the earth, but not in Shanksville or Sheepshank. In there, the plane went down so far in the ground that they couldn't find the plane, or the people, or the engines, or any debris. There was a seat, one seat. This is black magic, folks, that they have brainwashed you to believe the narrative. That's how stupid you people are. That's how ignorant you are of the physics of things in general. You cannot make a plane crash into the ground, no matter the speed, even if it was 1,000 miles an hour. The outside section of the wings, which were 50 feet wider than the hole, didn't make an impression in the dirt. There was just a hole in Shanksville, and there was some debris thrown around it. That's it. There wasn't 2 or 3, I think there was 2.5 tons of debris from 100 tons. No fires at all. There were fires over in the woods over there and over there. How did the fuel get 200 feet away into the woods? No one knows. Let me show you what a plane crash looks like. Hold on a minute. Whoa, Ant Farmer has Ant Farmer, thank you. Let me, I saw Ant Farmer. Ant Farmer. Michael, if what you're saying is true, why is there a video of one plane going completely through the building? That was... Ant Farmer. Ant Farmer, Ant Farmer, Ant Farmer. Think about this. Can you take an aluminum can and throw it through an engine block of a car? Or I mean, can you take an aluminum can and throw it? Was you could be young. It was CGI. It was CGI. It was animation. It was proven to be animation at the time. It's not possible for the airplane to go through the building. How? The beams on the outside of the building were 12 and 14, 16 inches thick, wide, half-inch, three-quarter-inch, 1-inch steel. Nothing. An airplane, if you did it in real life, an airplane could not penetrate the side of the building. It would have hit the side of the building, it would have crunched up like an accordion, and it would have fell down to the ground. That didn't happen. It went through the building. I saw the video. I saw that video. But it's not possible. It should have hit the building, penetrated the building to a certain degree, maybe 8 or 10 feet, but then when the rest of the airplane hit the building, the wings, for instance, the wings are attached to the core of the fuselage. They would have stopped it. Like when the wing and the airlines hit the building, the points that it's all connected would have stopped the nose from going much further. Plus, the nose of the build of the airplane and the fuselage of the airplane is more than the height of 2 floors. It would have to break through 300 feet of 10-inch concrete and steel trusses. In other words, there's a floor here and a floor here, and then another floor here. The airplane is the height of 3 floors. How can it break through 3 floors of concrete without stopping for 300 feet? Physics say that's not possible. There's just so much what they call energy in an impact of a hammer to the top of the nail. A certain amount of energy is needed to push the nail into the wood or concrete. There's not enough energy, kinetic energy, in an airplane to go through 2 or 3 floors of concrete for 300 feet after it hit 16-inch steel columns, and then through 3 floors of concrete, 300 feet, and then out the other side of 16. Let me find some pictures for you. Let me find some pictures. I have the pictures right here. Okay. Here, Daisy, give me the pot, please. My assistant is going to get the pot. And Farmer, this concrete column is 52 inches wide. It's 5 inches thick. This is 5 inches of steel. It got hit with an aluminum airplane. How did the aluminum airplane go through this? But then on the outside of the building, the beams were similar to this. These are like 12 inches by 24-inch webbed columns. Airplanes cannot go through this. It would cut the airplane into, thank you, Daisy. It would cut the airplane up like if you had a knife and you throw a tomato at a knife. It would cut the airplane up into pieces as it went into the building. And the kinetic energy or the potential energy of the airplane would dissipate to where it would just roll. It would get stopped by the concrete. And this is the answer Ant Farmer's question. Let me try to put it another way. If this is the steel girder, this piece of stainless steel, this knife, if this is the steel girder, and I'm going to get something for you, and this is the aluminum airplane, okay? The steel girder is 5 inches thick. The aluminum airplane is just 1/16 of an inch thick. It's not thick. It's not thick at all. What do you think an airplane is made out of? Maybe you don't know. I worked on them. I built them. I repaired them, okay? The thickest skin on an airplane may be the thickest part of any airplane skin might be 125 thousandths of an inch, which is about the thickness of this piece of steel here, the stainless steel. So that's the thickest part, but it's just aluminum. It's not magic. It was magic. So if the airplane hit the building, at 500, and only hit it at 500 miles an hour. If you took a pin at the speed of light, it would do more damage than the airplane at 500. But so the airplane hits the building. It looks like this. The beams on the outside of the building. This is an outside structural skin column. the building was built different than any other building ever built. This is the outside structural steel of the building. This is the airplane, thin like that. The airplane would just simply, it would just simply get cut like that. And that's what would happen to it. Every 3 feet, there was a column. So every 3 feet, there would be a cut. It can't go through the building. It can't go through the building. It's not possible. It would get stopped with the outside skin of the building. And what didn't get stopped is somehow you saw CGI prefabricated of the plane going through the World Trade Center. That's not real. That's physics says that can't happen. It's just not possible. Now, how can a piece of aluminum? This is not much thinner than the real aluminum. How can it go through? That column is 10 inches wide, 24 inches deep. Did you ever see? You know how you can visualize this? Did you ever see a truck hit one of those concrete columns that hold up a bridge? What happens to the bridge? Nothing. It chips away a piece of concrete, maybe 2 inches, inch and a half deep. That's it. That's the only thing that happens. Nothing else happens to the bridge. Even the old bridges, before they put concrete around the metal, or the L's underneath the railway systems in New York City, they used to have like 1 inch thick beams that hold up the rail system. A truck can hit that at 100 miles an hour and nothing happens to the beam at all. It knocks the paint off it. That's it, though. Or go out and look at accidents that occurred where a car hits a tree, an 8-inch diameter tree, wood, not metal, wood, and yeah, sometimes the tree snaps, but at 70 miles an hour, the whole front of the car wraps around the tree. The motor gets pushed into the back seat of the car, and the rest of but the tree typically stays in place, or it might break. But now, the plane is 175 feet wide. There's a steel column that looks like this. This is one of the skins of the World Trade Center. I'll show you the skin of the World Trade Center. Hold on a minute. I got to get another window open. Skin of World Trade. I'm going to also tell you an interesting fact about why they built the World Trade Center where they built it. Now, you could believe it or not. It's impossible to prove it, but I can tell you what happened. Okay, here, the skin. Overall structural design of World Trade Center 1 and 2. I don't know if this will have it in pictures. Okay. These beams here that I'm showing you around the perimeter. Every one of these marks here represents a core column, a skin column. Every one of those represents a skin column. The windows in between the skin columns were about 30 inches. They weren't much wider than my shoulders. But and so each one of these beams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30. Each one of those beams, here they are, right here. Here's the skin columns. Okay, so here are ant farmer. Here are the skins. When we say skin, it was the perimeter beams of the World Trade Center, right here. So we're going to... Okay, so these were... So this would represent where the floor sat on the skin or was bolted. The concrete trusses, the concrete floor and the trusses were bolted to these skins. These floors supported gravity loads. This is the floor where it support. This is the gravity load. These are seats on the skin. Perimeter, column, spandrel, assembly, and floor structure. Okay? Here it is right here. I'm trying to show the ant farmer something, and here is the answer right here. So these beams, this is the truss on the bottom. That's the truss. That 45 degree stuff on the bottom. This is a truss. These trusses attached to what they call spandrels. This stuff here, or the vertical columns. Now these vertical columns, I think they were 12 inches by 12 inches minimum. And they were 4 inches thick. No, this is it's figure 4. All right, we need to find figure 4. Well, those beams I'm pretty sure were 1 inch thick. Figure 3, figure 4. Okay, here we go. Figure 4. The field panels, okay, I don't know the names, were staggered so that every third panel was spliced at each floor level. So they staggered these. They didn't put them together like this. They put one like this, and then one over there, and one over there. They staggered them so that they were 12 or 15 feet apart. They were... they didn't give you... They were... I didn't read all of this first. I didn't expect to go this long into this video. So they were thick. They were thick beams. They were the thickness of the like a beam that would hold up an elevated railway car or a bridge, where no matter how hard you hit it with a truck, nothing happens. So the point is that this stuff, let me put the link there. I'll give you the link to this page. You can go there and see the size of the beams. You can do this yourself. I'm going to give you the link, and from anybody else that wants to see how thick the steel beams were, how thick the floors were, this is all impossible stuff. It's black magic, I tell you. Which brings me to why they built the World Trade Centers where they did. Now, you may not believe this, but I'm going to tell you what happened. Where they did. Now, you may not believe this, but I'm going to tell you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put this link down in the bottom of the page here. Jack, I'm really not sure what you're talking about. Jack. The buildings were not made out of aluminum. The airplanes were made out of aluminum, Jack. I'm not real sure what you're talking about. I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about any of the things that we can't prove, Flywoods. I'm really answering Ann Farmer's comment about how it would be physically impossible for the plane to go through the building. That's my point that I've been making for the last few minutes. The link for Ann Farmer to go to see how thick the beams were. You have to understand, when you saw the vertical columns of the World Trade Center and you see glass, when I would stand, I dated a girl, I don't remember her name, Brenda, I think her name was. She worked at the top of the restaurant at the top of the World Trade Center. I dated her for a very long time. And if I ever find a picture of her, you'll understand why. So, I have been in the World Trade Center hundreds of times. Plus, I was in the World Trade Center long before they were built. From the 86th floor on, when they were building the 86th floor, and they just had a piece of wire cable around the 86th floor. I worked on my dad's tugboat, and he was doing the reclamation and the dredging. He was in charge of the tugboats. He was the master captain on the World Trade Center job. And before work, we got to work at 5:30 in the morning because we started at 7. But my dad would have to start up the tugboat and check the oil and check all the fluids in the engines. And there's a lot of engines in the tugboat. You have the 2 engines that are in the tugboat, but then you have 2 diesel generators, and you have to check the hydraulic fluid in the transmissions. There's a lot of fluid. So it would take them about an hour to pre-check, like a pre-flight check, the engines. But we got to the World Trade Center job. We parked on the property of the World Trade Center at 5:30 in the morning, and then Donald Sturdivant and I were the deckhands on my dad's boat. Now, I was only 14, but they let me be a deckhand because I was my dad's son, and at the time, that kind of stuff was legal. Now it would not be possible. So Donald Sturdivant and I would go up. We had our hard hats, and we were in our work gear. You didn't have uniforms, just work boots and hard hat and gloves. And we would go up into the elevator and go up to wherever floor they were working on. Before there was a building, we would just go up to the top floor. The girders would go up past us, but we could walk around on the deck of the building, and nothing held you from falling off the building except like a 1/2-inch steel cable. So the girders, or the skins of the building, that is the columns, the vertical structural columns, they were about 3 feet apart. And in between those, they put windows, glass. So those were continuous, like monolithic. They were riveted together, and they were staggered at different floors. So no 3 pieces were together like that. They interlocked with one another. I don't know what Jack is talking about. Aluminum. None of the building was aluminum, Jack. Maybe I misread your comment, but none of the World Trade Center was aluminum. Was the skin that they skinned those beams with, but the buildings themselves, the girders were made out of metal. I don't know anything about what I got. You confused me, Jack. You're maybe you're confused. One of us is confused. Let's go. So ant farm. That's the link. Then, of course, as Sammy Sung says, the building mysteriously dropped into its own footprint. All of them dropped into what they call their own footprint. That's not possible. Theoretically, the building should have at least fell a little bit to the side one way or the other, but it didn't. But the beams that I'm talking about, the core columns that were 52 inches by 22 inches and 5 inches thick, they should have stayed up out of the building. All of them should have stuck up out of the building. And then if the floors around them fell down, the beams should have wrapped over themselves, but they didn't. You could see they were cut on a 45-degree angle somehow. It was magic. It was black magic. And talking about black magic, this is a small piece of information that I don't know if it's possible to research it, but my dad came home one day with a geode about 30 inches in height. A geode is an egg, and inside the egg is crystal. They found millions of pounds, tens of thousands of geodes, even up to 4 and 5 feet in diameter, when they were dredging out for the footings of the parameter of the World Trade Center footprint. Before they would build buildings where the World Trade Center was, or before they would build anything, the muck, the sand, the silt from the Hudson River had to be excavated out. And then they had to go down to rock bottom, because Manhattan is basically one giant rock. But while they were doing the excavation, they found billions of dollars, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of geodes from small like that to 4 or 5 feet in diameter. And I remember this because my dad brought one home, and it was about 30 inches in height. And he brought it home. He had to have 2 people carry it into the house. It was broken in half. Like, he had a sign for it. The United States government came to the site where the excavation down to bedrock in the Hudson River was, where they found these geodes. The United States government came in, sequestered the crushing machines, the cranes, the barges, and all the equipment that was used in the excavation of these geodes from the bottom of the Hudson River. And then they put those geodes into rock crushers. These things are worth millions and millions of dollars. At the time, they were worth millions and millions of dollars, because a geode is typically an egg crystal, a foot and a half. You can buy them. You can go online and buy them for a couple $100,000, 34, 36 inches in diameter. It depends on the color of the crystal and the quality of the crystal, but they're more than $100. They're tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. For the big ones, they took hundreds of tons of geodes, hundreds of tons of geodes out of the ground with 50, 60-yard muck buckets. They picked them up, they put them over there on land, and then bulldozers came in and bulldozed them into a pile, and then another crane on the land would pick them up and put them into a rock crusher, because it would have made the price of geodes go down to nothing. That's how many there were on Earth. In other words, in all of pre-recorded history, there are only just so many places where they found geodes. At the World Trade Center, they found more than any place else on the whole flat Earth, which makes it a power point or a chakra point of the Earth's energy. That's why the World Trade Centers are placed where they are. You could go into this for days. The axis and the power points of the Earth, and where Buckingham Palace is, and where all these palaces in the world, they all line up in lines, in power lines on the Earth. But that's not what we're going to talk about. So my dad brought one home, showed it to me, and showed it to everybody, and then he had to bring it back, and then they crushed it up, because it would have brought the value of geodes down to next to nothing, which is the same where if they released all the thousands of pounds of diamonds that they have stored, it would make diamonds virtually priced. It would reduce the price to diamonds. You could buy them by the pound. They have that many diamonds. You could buy them or by the ounce or by the carat, $10 a carat, not 10,000 or $1,000 a carat. They have diamonds stored, warehouses full of diamonds stored. Keeps the price of the diamonds up. If they released all the diamonds that we have in the world, your $10,000 diamond ring might be worth $50 at the end of the day. That's what they did with the geodes. So that's one of the reasons that site was picked out for the World Trade Center. It was a power point. And they knew that somehow, because the people that run this world have run it for billions, not millions of years. I don't know how they knew it, but they did. So to answer your question, the nose of the airplane did not go through. It was CGI. And if you look at those videos really closely, you can see it's been proven that was CGI. Now, Sammy Sung says 2 trillion in unaccounted money was where the plane hit the Pentagon. That's true. That's factual. Donald Rumsfeld or Dick Cheney or one of those guys, the day before, on 9/10, the day before, not 9/11, the day before, said there's $2.2 trillion missing in the budget. And then the next day, the only place that stored that information was destroyed from an airplane. Black magic, I tell you. Sammy Sung is right. So what do you do about this? There's nothing you could do about it. You could talk about it. That's all. It's just blah, blah, blah. Just like I'm doing now. Blah, blah, blah. Can't do anything about it. Well, you could. You could. But if I told you what you could do about it, and you went and did it, you'd probably end up in jail. So there's really nothing you could do about it. How many 10-ton cranes would you need to lift up only the fuel of a 747? Well, it would depend. I believe that a 747 fully loaded, well, I could look it up, but without looking it up, I think there's 40 tons of fuel in a 747. Well, let's look it up. So you'd need 4 10-ton cranes. But let's look. You can look that kind of stuff up relatively easy. It's not. Where's my keyboard? I can't find my. Here it is, right here. Okay, so how many tons? You could look a lot of this stuff up online. How much fuel weight pound? How much fuel in pounds? Pounds, in 747 on takeoff. How much fuel in pounds is a 747? Okay. I know somebody here that knows the exact number. Okay, so then the number... Okay, the number is 52,000... is 52,000 gallons. 52,000 gallons. So if you were going to take 52,000 gallons, jet fuel weighs 6.2 pounds per gallon, if I remember correctly, or 7.3. So 7 times 52 is 350,000 pounds. Here's the answer right here. It would be 350,000, 52,000 gallons would be 350,000 pounds, and you'd have to divide 350,000 pounds by 2,000, so that would be 75 tons, I think. I'm not real sure. Let's see if we could do this. Let's see. I need, honey, give me your phone with the calculator on it open, please. I'll figure that out for you right now, Aunt Farmer. Got the calculator? Okay, so we have 52,000 gallons times, we're going to times that by 7. I think it's 7.2. That equals 364. That equals 364,000 pounds. And then we're going to divide 364. Divide 364 by 2,000.
You want me to cook? Or you want to...
No, not yet, honey. And are you hungry?
No.
Well, if you're hungry, you cook. If not, we'll wait a few minutes, okay? All right, we're going to press equals. And then that's 182 tons. So divide that by 10. You have 18 cranes would be, you'd need 18 10-ton cranes to pick up that much fuel to answer your question. So, but that's fully loaded. A 747 never takes off fully loaded unless it's going the distance. You'll get a 747 that's only going from New York to Washington, D.C. They might only put 20% of fuel in the aircraft. So you would need 18 10-ton cranes to pick up the fuel. So 52,000 gallons times 7, 364,000 pounds divided by 2,000 is 18. So, but thank you for the super chat from Ann Farm. Oh my God, we forgot, almost forgot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ann Farmer. Salamat. That was a good question. How much fuel is in the 747? But you got to understand, the fuel capacity of an airplane, you don't fill it up if you're not going on a long flight. You wouldn't, I don't, when we worked on airplanes, we did not fill up a fuel because it takes X amount of energy to take off. Now you're carrying all that extra weight. That would be like you saying, I'm going to backpack up that mountain. It's going to take 2 hours. Would you carry, how much water would you carry for 2 hours? You'd carry enough water to get you through the day. You wouldn't carry 5 gallons for the week. You carry what you needed for the day. That's pretty much the way that would work. So let's go back to the Ant Farmer, to the comments. Thank you, Ant Farmer. That's right, Flywoods. They found a passport 2 blocks away. One passport 2 blocks away from the that somehow survived. That's true. That's more black magic. Flywoods. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Frank. Flat Earth Society. Many people are stone stupid nowadays, Michael. You know, I try to tell you people stuff that's real. You know, you're going to get these morons on YouTube saying, he doesn't know what he's... I am showing you what is on the links to the description of how the World Trade Centers fell, and then I'm explaining to you that physically none of it's possible. And why did it take 20 years for the NIST report to come out? And why did the day the NIST report come out, did we have a war, and then it got buried behind the headlines of the war? Why did it take 20 years? And why was the most catastrophic event that ever occurred to America, why did the next day they had trucks and cranes and support equipment to get rid of the steel to send it to China? Why? It was they should have, the dust had stuff in it that you could look at and see that on a molecular level there was products in the dust that shouldn't have been there, that not natural to building. In other words, the World Trade Center was made out of concrete and steel and some aluminum, office furniture, but it didn't have any kind of, it didn't have hundreds of tons of microparticles of talcum powder in it. It didn't have that stuff in there. No, there was no talcum powder in there. Yet they found nodules and molecules of hundreds equal to tons and tons of a product that should not have been in the dust. I won't say what the product is because not allowed. But it was a product that kind of like the 4th of July type of products, but more powerful. And they found tons, what would have been tens of tons, tens of thousands of tons or pounds of a certain product, 4th of July material in the dust. And that just got sent off to China. But by the way, when they were scooping up all that debris, they didn't bother separating anything. They just, and moving off of that topic, the firefighters and the firemen and the paramedics and the volunteers that took the debris away from the World Trade Center, they got to keep anything they found. Anything. Everything. So if they found a diamond or a pocket watch that was made out of gold, or a watch with diamonds in it, or a necklace, from the vaults of the jewelers, because there was a lot of jewelers in the world, they got to keep all of that stuff. And they paid the price. Because Joel A. Mealy, my neighbor, the deputy mayor under Giuliani, who later became the head of the DEP, he said, he was interviewed the day after the World Trade Center saying, Mr. Mealy, are there any carcinogenics in the debris of the World Trade Center? Should we have to wear any kind of protective gear? And he said, no, absolutely not. There's no carcinogenics. Meanwhile, there were millions of ounces of mercury from the 8-foot fluorescent bulbs. There was millions of pounds of asbestos, carcinogenic, cancer-causing asbestos in the dust and the debris. Millions of pounds of asbestos. And Joel Mealy, what was his real job in real life? Mealy Associates, located in Maspeth, Queens. He had the biggest architectural firm in Maspeth, Queens, in Queens, New York. He was one of the smartest people to ever live. He knew everything about engineering, building, design, bridges. He was the one that eventually, his company, for $850 an hour, inspected the buildings and the bridges of New York City. He was one of the smartest engineers that ever lived in New York City, and he said there was nothing carcinogenic. Joel A. Mealy. I never talked to him after that, after I asked him why he said that. He was my neighbor. I grew up with him since I was 5 years old. I built his fish pond in his house. I repaired his 12-foot dory sailboat. I built his deck. I built his dock. I took all the siding off his house and replaced all the redwood siding. I put a new roof on his house. I installed solar panels on his house before we even knew what solar panels were. If I was hungry and there was nothing in my mom's refrigerator, I would go into Joel A. Mealy's house and have a sandwich. He was part of the black magic. He was part and parcel to that. Later he became Joel A. Mealy. He became the head of the Queens County Hospital Association, the chairman of the board of Queens County Hospitals, I believe, after he got the job at the DEP. And I know he was the head of the DEP because he gave me a DEP hat and DEP shirts and stuff like that, because he was the guy in charge of the Department of Environment. That was his gift for talking about the black magic at the World Trade Center. The whole thing was black magic. Ant Farmer and Sammy Sung. Barbques says airplanes do crash vertical if they are deliberately pointed that way. Okay, but they still don't penetrate the ground more than 10 feet. Probably, Ant Farmer. That's probably true. Aluminum pinned with steel beams. No, Jack. The vertical columns of the World Trade Center were made, the skins were made of steel. I don't know why you're saying that. I have no idea. I just showed you the beams. I'll show them to you again, Jack. We don't need that window open. The skins of the World Trade Center were steel beams. I lost it. I think I closed the window by mistake. Maybe not. I'm looking, Jack. I'm looking. Here they are. Jack. Red lead. These were the vertical columns, Jack, that the outside skin of the World Trade Center was. Aluminum was wrapped around these steel columns, and then windows were placed in between here, not the other way around. These were vertical trusses, spandrels. Okay, Jack. And I think these were 16 inches by 16 inches. Steel, 3/4 inch and 1 inch steel. 1 1/4 down lower, 1 inch somewhere up the middle, 1 inch on the top. 1 inch steel columns. And then that was wrapped with an aluminum skin, Jack. So I'm not real sure what you're talking about. Jack Thompson. Once the sprayed-on fire protection is blown away, well, yeah, but the fire protection was still, well, I'm not gonna, I wasn't there, but the plane never got into the building far enough to knock the asbestos off the trusses. Sammy has an idea. They gave them the old Japanese World War II Nagasaki, Hiroshima. They hit them with a Nagasaki and a Hiroshima. Right, Ant Farmer, you're right. That was the only time for a big job that the buildings were built, that the skeleton structure, the supporting structure of the building was these steel skins. And when I say skin, I mean the part that wrapped around the building, right. This was what held up the building, the steel. These were the skins of the building. Normally, now, and then these were connected to the core of the building. So on the outside, the beams went to the core from all directions, all four directions. But the skins are what held up the building. Normally, the beams are inside the buildings every 12 or 14 feet. That's what holds up most buildings. So Ant Farmer is correct. The skins were used to hold up the building. I'm in Arkansas, in Hot Springs. We have geodes. Yeah, there are geodes all over the world, but the biggest cache of geodes ever discovered was at the base of the World Trade Center. Battalion Brawler. He gave the answer to the jet fuel. 15,500 kilograms or 15,000 kilograms or 30,000 pounds or 35,000 pounds, which is what I tried to look up before. So Battalion Brawler, he did some research for us. Thank you, Battalion Brawler. Jack is back. All posts are required to go into the ground, and any intersecting member are required to attach to said post, no longer allowed to use exterior of the building for a means of support. That's right. But the exterior was not aluminum. That's my point, Jack. So Battalion Brawler says 35,000 pounds of jet fuel would be loaded into a 747. Even though the article said it had a capacity of more, 35,000 pounds is typical, says Battalion Brawler. I believe him. So, I got to tell you, the stuff, I remember where I was. I was working in the railroad bar at mile marker 93 in the Florida Keys on US 1, on US Highway 1. The railroad whistle stop. No, not something. Railroad whistle stop. But anyway, I was building a bar, the plumbing. I was putting the plumbing in a bar. I worked for Windy Day Plumbing, and I was going to myself, that's impossible. That's not possible. And my boss, he said, get back to work. And I had to go back to work. But there was a 5-foot screen in the bar, and we watched the buildings fall, and I'm going, that's not possible. And he's going, it just happened. I'm going, yeah, well, it happened, but it's not possible. Not two of them. And but get back to work. I had to go back to work. I had a job. All right, then I'm going to get ready to have breakfast. I hope you guys understand this is black magic. This whole thing is black magic. The fact that they dumb down society to make you believe that jet fuel that burns at 450 degrees and office furniture at 475, 500 degrees, wood, plastic, nylon, burning at 500 degrees for 45 minutes, somehow melted trusses. That's not possible. It's just not physically possible. Otherwise, your barbecue that's 20 years old that you put charcoal in eventually would melt. Everything would melt. You put the steak on the grill would fall down. It's the same thing. Just, it's not possible. It's black magic. You should remember that. Because there's going to be, there is a lot more of that. Oh my God, this black magic occurs almost every day now. Almost every day now. Everything you read in the newspapers. I tell you people all the time, don't believe anything you read in the newspaper. I actually was witness to some things that made the front page of all the newspapers in the tri-state area. And what was in the newspaper the next day had nothing to do with what happened in real life. Nothing at all. It's almost as if the newspaper reporters, they saw a picture of something that happened on Monday. And on Tuesday, they had no idea how it happened. But on Tuesday, they made up a story to go along with the picture. That's black magic. And then you people believe it. Like, there are stories about Princess Diana, that she was being chased. There are other stories about Princess Diana that can't be confirmed. You people have been trained to believe what you read in the paper, what you hear on the and the ignorance is shown on a daily basis on YouTube. You give your time and money to watch worthless channels. A girl that has big boobs, and she takes a picture on Instagram, and she gets 22 million views. You could go through my YouTube history, and you're not going to see me click on any of those things, but 23 million views she'll get because she has big boobs. You've never seen boobs inside a shirt, the cleavage before? 23, why? Why would you look at that crap? You give your money to people that display nothing but ignorance. You give your money to people that portray themselves to be one way, yet their lifestyle, their true lifestyle, when it comes out, is a completely different thing. And you never saw it before because you don't know how the telltale signs of weird lifestyles. I do. I grew up in New York, okay? I can tell you things about 4 or 5 bloggers on the internet. I can't prove it, so if I say it, it would be a form of harassment. But I'm going to tell you something. There's several people on the internet that are not what you think they are. And as Jerry Seinfeld said, not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but there are several bloggers in the YouTube community that have been in the closet for a very long time. Just remember that. And eventually that'll all come out in the wash. Rich Adventures. I saw a comment from you before. You are 100% Correct. Americans are lost. Thank you. I didn't thank you, Rich Adventures. There was another comment that made sense before from Rich Adventures. I'm going to go look for it now. I can't go up any further. Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. Let me get this out of the way here. Rich Adventures. You made another interesting comment that I read and didn't respond to. So let me go back over there. Rich Adventures. You can move to the Philippines and enjoy your life. That's what you can do. Ah, okay. That was at the part of the conversation where I was saying, someone said, what can you do about all of this? Not much. Like I said, not much. Rich Adventure says you can move to the Philippines and enjoy your life. See, I'm actually having quite a good time here. So, yeah, that's why I moved to the Philippines, because I got tired of paying $9,000 a month for 3 mortgages. Plus, they collapsed the economy, and they usurped most of my life savings. So I moved to the Philippines, where I have enough money to live and take care of what I got to take care of. Oh, yeah. Oh, Fazio's so broke, he'll never be able to leave the Philippines. Oh, he'll never be able to do an exit run. Fazio's so broke. He'll be gone. He won't be able to afford to buy the tickets to exit. He won't be able to afford the exit visa. He'll be gone in 6 months. He'll run out of money. That was years ago. He'll never do this. He'll never do that. You people are delusional. You are really delusional. And those concepts that you believe, why would you give? Recently there was a fraud, a total fraud on YouTube that you people have given tens of hundreds, thousands of dollars to. And when the real truth comes out about that fraud on YouTube, you still defend the fact that his lifestyle was not what it appeared to be, and you still attack me, which is perfectly okay. That's your job. Because of your ignorance, that's your job. But you people have defended people on YouTube that have defrauded you mentally and financially for years, and then when you find out that you have been defrauded, you still defend that person's lifestyle and stance because you don't want to admit that you were taken to the cleaners. That's ignorance. Intelligence would be, geez, I gave money to this guy, I gave money to that guy, I gave money to that girl, I gave money to that girl. What did they do with the money? 95, 98, 99% of the people you gave money to didn't use the money for what they said they were going to use it for. That never happened with me, and yet I'm considered by you ignorance the biggest scammer on YouTube. Never did you ever give me money for anything, ever, that I didn't use the money for. Yet, I'm the scammer. The other guys that you gave tens of thousands of dollars that lived a closeted lifestyle that came out, comes out, will come out, will be seen to be the truth in the future. When you see it, that what you gave the money for has, you supported a lifestyle that you yourself would never have supported. Yet, because you got taken to the cleaners, you defend that lifestyle. Now, that was just a one-off, Yeah, okay, a one-off. Show that all of you, you do that. You go on YouTube and do that, and then bring it to your family's get together around Christmas or Easter, and put it on the big screen in the living room Christmas morning when you're opening up presents. And you see how well your lifestyle went over. But because you got taken to the cleaners for large amounts of money, do you see what I'm trying to say? You defend it because you got suckered. You defend that weird lifestyle. You defend it because you were suckered. You gave somebody money for a cause when in fact probably most of that money went to a different cause. We don't know. We just know that things are not always what they seem to be on YouTube. And you have people living in theoretical closets. Theoretical closets, we'll call them virtual closets, going on now 7 years in a virtual closet. In a closet. Literally lived in a closet for a very long time, but virtual closets, a closet could be very big. Could be a whole house, that's your closet. That never leave the closet, except to do, get the actual necessary things to live in the closet done. But other than to bring food into the closet and water into the closet and computer supplies and things like that, they never leave their closet. And that's what you defend as life in the Philippines. I show you thousands of places all over the Philippines. Communicate with people on job sites, on the beach, with the children in the videos, with the drone videos, and that I'm going to reconnoiter the Philippines eventually with the drone. I show you thousands and thousands of videos of beaches and swimming and scuba diving, and yet you defend somebody that lives in a closet. And what does the guy in the closet do all day? He goes back in time to videos that were made a year or two ago where there were comments on the video. And he leaves comments on people's pages that on videos that are 1 or 2 years old. Threats, mostly threats. Because he lives in a closet. He doesn't do anything in real life. They don't do anything in real life. They don't have a life. They live in a closet. They live in a bubble. Yet, you defend. You have people that defend people that live in a closet. That is not living reality. There's no reality to living in a closet. There's the reality of the closet, but there's no life outside of the closet. Where is there any YouTube, Philippines, vlogging content ever put out from anybody that lives in a closet? Where does it start? Show me something from a YouTube blogger that lives in a closet. How do you blog about the Philippines from a closet? You just blah, blah, blah from the closet. Nothing is real. And then you get the guys that live in the closet that read an article on YouTube and Google and they become an expert, but they can't remember the facts, or they get the words wrong, or they can't spell, or they don't know what the words mean, or they use the words incorrectly in a sentence. And those people you look up to. You're the best. You're the best. Oh, what you're gonna do is waste the rest of your natural life in a closet. Think about that. You live inside a closet, and that's your life until something happens. Until something Magical. Well, that already magically happened a dozen times. The goals that were set. When I buy a house, when I do this, things are going to... Nothing ever changed. You still live in a closet. Nothing ever changed. You people that live in a basement or a closet in your mother's house, nothing changes for you people. It's always next year. I recently went out and bought a drone. I have spent hundreds of hours learning how to use an iPhone and the drone. That's life. That's experiencing new things. You people don't do anything of the like. I'm going to go out and buy a new camera. And then what am I going to do with that new camera? Oh, I'm going to put my finger over the lens, and I'm going to be a blogger. Why would you need a new camera if you put your finger over the lens? I don't understand. You people are amazingly stupid. Amazingly stupid. It goes beyond ignorance. It goes into, I don't know how to describe this stuff. You got people out there that have literally lived in their mother's basement, in a closet, in their mother and father's house, in a garage, in an apartment, that have never left leaving comments on YouTube. That's what they do 24/7. That's why I don't allow trolls. Because if I don't know who you are and you leave something negative, and I'm giving you reasonably intelligent and truthful information, and you come to disrupt my train of thought, you get blocked. Okay? It's not complicated. Because you have nothing else to do with your life doesn't mean... I'm trying to give you people information to make you understand that what happened on 9/11 in 2001 is black magic. And I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. The people that control this world, the beings, the entity, the aliens, the beings, whatever they are, I don't think they're human, that have controlled this world for billions of years, not millions, billions, are getting ready to once again remove the populace and let the planet go back to its natural state of habitat, which could take 100 to 200,000 years, and then they'll just do it again. You want to know how I know that's true? Is because thousands and thousands and thousands of excavations throughout the world have found things that should not be possible. And as soon as they're found, they disappear. Where are all of the giant skeletons that were found in every country and every part of every country, buried all over the world? Where are they? They were all gathered up by huge museums like the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. When they find a giant skull that's 24 inches or 36 inches in diameter, and the bones, the skeletal structure of a giant, buried somewhere and preserved, the Smithsonian gives the people that find it $1 million, $2 million. They take the bones, they put them in the basement in a box of the Smithsonian Institution, and when they get enough of them, they put them on giant trucks. They bring those trucks of bones to the ships, to a ship, and then they bring them out to sea and dump them into the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, that's what they did with the skeletal remains of all the giants. In 1908, the Smithsonian Institution took all the remains of all the giant skeletal structured bones and put them on a ship and brought them out to the middle of the ocean somewhere and dumped them into the bottom of the ocean, so that you would never believe in giants. But there were giants walking the earth. It was an experiment. with a different type of species that eventually just dwindled away. But there are billions and billions of people around the world that have seen things that should not be possible, and yet they are, and then they find them, and then they disappear, and then that's it, it's gone. And then, just like the black magic at the World Trade Center, they have dumbed you people down. 9/11 should have been the most published article everywhere in the world every year since that day. Yet, you don't see a newspaper article. Nothing came up in my feed at all. You can watch one worthless poker game on YouTube, and the next time you refresh the page, you're given 100 options to watch every worthless poker game on YouTube. Quads, one. Trips, one. Trip queens, trip nuts. I don't even know anything about that. But I watched one poker game about a month ago, and now 1,000 poker games. You watch one Efren Reyes pool, champion of pool in the Philippines. Just watch one of his videos, and the next time you open up your feed, there's 50 Efren Reyes videos. Not so with Manny Pacquiao, though. The Manny Pacquiao was a very famous boxer, and he had millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of followers around the world. But his politics don't mesh. You don't hear about Manny Pacquiao at all. But Efren Reyes, he plays pool. Let's put him all over YouTube feed. You don't get it. You're being dumbed down. You're not looking, you're not opening up your mind. You can do research on the World Trade Center, how it was built, how thick the beams were, how it would be impossible to throw an aluminum can through a 5-inch thick steel column, and yet you believe it. Because you people have been dumbed down. All right, Jack's got a lot to say, so. Nice title, thank you, says regular guy in the Philippines. And the Rothies, see, you got to be careful what you say here. They pulled off another one. They did. They've been doing it forever. They pulled off the biggest scam in the history of monetary system using carrier pigeons. A certain fella's head is shaped like a light bulb. I think his teeth grew in backwards. Jack. All right, guys. Daisy's singing. I gotta tell you, she sings to me, honey, you want to do that song that you did yesterday?
What?
By the Donna Summer song? You feel energetic? Well, you should. Hot Stuff. She sang that song to me last night.
No?
Remember when you sang Hot Stuff?
I'm gonna sing it now?
You want to?
Without the microphone?
It's up to you, with or without. She sang this song, Hot Stuff, by Donna Summers. I was showing Daisy. I had seen Donna Summers at the Westbury Music Theater. Could have been the 70s, might have been the 80s. I saw Johnny Mathis there. We used to go to the Westbury Music Theater. See, this is what I mean about living life. Now, I have pictures of myself my friend Ernie, on stage with Donna Summers, dancing with Donna Summers on stage. Okay, not a big deal. She was in the Westbury Music Theater. The stage was rotating around. We had 4 rows, 12 people wide of seats. Johnny, the Undertaker, used to get, he worked at Ticketron at night, and he was an Undertaker during the day. He would get blocks of tickets for shows at the Westbury Music Theater. We didn't get a discount, but I stayed with a group of people that was up to 60 strong. 64 people strong. And that's living life, you know, and I have pictures of that. Now, I have a lot of memories of things that I didn't take pictures of, but we had fun back in the 70s and the 80s. Now, one day I'll go out to the container and get that drive out and show you the pictures of me and Ernie and Donna Summers up on stage. You know it's me because I'm taking the picture. And they're in 35 millimeter. That's how long ago it was. There was no digital anything back then. Now, do you people that pretend or portend that you had a life have pictures of anything you've ever done? I have pictures of where I grew up, Charles Park, jet skis back in 1980, where I lived on the water with my dog out on my boat, working for my dad on his tugboat, working at the World Trade Center job back in the 70s. I have pictures of all of that stuff. But you people, oh, well, I did. You did what? What did you do? Where is proof of what you say you did? You couldn't bought a $10 Instamatic camera and taking pictures? For me, it's all blah, blah, blah. And yet everything I say is documented, but I'm the fraud on YouTube. I don't accept that concept at all. I say, you're the fraud. You people have lacked the ability to document your life and what you've done. I have pictures going back to when I was 11 or 12 years old. I spent my money on film. I remember when taking a picture with a camera cost you $1 when you only made $1 an hour. And I still took pictures. And I still have those pictures. Oh, we see more people here. Hey, George, now there's a guy, handsome, can confirm most of what I say is true. Mr. Fazio, do you cut my own hair? Of course, George. Here. Not, well, I don't. I have a woman named Daisy May come in and cut my own hair with this cutter here. We take off the cutter, and I bought this cutter for $13.60, and now it's rechargeable. And I've used it, oh, I don't know, 8 or 10 times. And let me tell you how this pays for itself, George. Handsome. If I have to get into a tricycle, that's 30 pesos to go to the hair cutting place. I could wait an hour. And then I have to pay 60 pesos for the haircut and 30 pesos back. So that's like 120 pesos, $2.40, but it takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours to go get a haircut. This, I just take it outside when I'm taking a bath, and I take off this clipper part that has different attachments, and it takes about 5 minutes. Daisy does this in about 5 minutes. So for $13.60, say I cut my hair 10 times, I saved 10 times 120, or 1,200 pesos, which is $24, and I only paid $13 for the clipper, and it charges up, and I'm ready. You want to sing first or no?
No.
What, honey?
I don't feel singing.
Jack says he went to school with Donna Summers. That must have been pretty cool to have known a celebrity. Yeah, I mean, she sold 100 million albums. I think it was a prestigious thing to get a. I can dance. I did like that, like a special.
The big bag.
Are you gonna sing? Come on. All right, we'll sing. We'll sing later. I'll sing with you. I'll do the hot stuff. I want some hot stuff, baby. Oh yeah? She's not gonna sing. I don't think. No. How about how about I sing hot stuff, baby? That would be a treat. George, getting back. Yeah, I cut my own hair. $13.60. George knows that I was a contractor because George, handsome, I have been working for George's mother. I don't know. It was before I bought my barge. We're going back into the 1980s. I did a concrete deck that was about 12 by 15 for George behind the door of his house with two steps down. I replaced the entire concrete on the side of his house.
You want to sing?
You want me to sing or you?
You said you were going to sing.
This is going back where I worked for George's mom. She was a sweetheart to work for. I put the forms in, and then I had a concrete company. I don't do a lot of concrete. J&B Brick Masons. They came in and charged me $1 a square foot back in 1980. I don't know, 83, 84, 85. George had to bust a piece of that concrete out about 3 years ago, and he'll tell you how good that concrete job was. Now, it did settle, but it didn't settle because of what I did. It settled because of the substrate underneath. We didn't put pilings down underneath it. So the fill behind George's house was 50, 60 years on top of muck. But George will confirm that I was a contractor. Thanks, George, for stopping by.
You sing now?
Jack, leave that comment up. George is my friend. Been my friend since he was born.
Do you need the song? I don't know. Gotta
Jack.
music. Okay.
George does he actually does landscaping. George is a working man. He's like us, Jack. No kidding. No kidding. Oh, accidentally. Okay, he's sorry. Yeah, no, George is a good man. George has been my friend, I don't know, longer than I care to think. I can tell you stories that of jobs that I did next to George's house, or George watched me with the barge. Are you going to do this or not? Daisy, come on, we'll sing. We'll sing now, me and you. I get so sidetracked. Me and you, honey. We're going to sing Donna Summers? Ready? Daisy and I are going to sing Hot Stuff, baby. Hot Stuff by Donna Summers. Karaoke version. Make it louder.
It's loud now. Don't touch because it's very sensitive.
We didn't sing. Oh, not yet? I'm sorry. Sitting here eating my heart out, baby. waiting for some lover to call. Dialed about 1,000 numbers lately, almost rang the phone off the wall. Waiting for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. I need some hot stuff, baby, tonight. I need some hot stuff, baby, this evening. Gotta have some hot stuff. Gotta have some hot stuff tonight, baby. Yeah, baby.
I need
Hot stuff. I want some hot stuff. I need hot stuff.
You like the song?
I remember when this song came out, every day it played. Looking for a lover who needs another. Don't want another on my own. Want to share my love with a warm-blooded lover. Want to bring a wild man home. Some hot stuff, baby, this evening. I need some hot stuff, baby, tonight. I need some hot stuff, baby, this evening.
Gotta have some loving.
Gotta have some love tonight. Everybody sang this song. Hot love. Looking for some hot love. When this song came on, everybody stopped their life to sing the song. It was a great song by a great entertainer and a great singer. And I am glad I had the opportunity to see her in person and dance with Donna Summer on stage at the Westbury Music Theater. That was it, Chris. That's it? Okay, we're done? Hi, how did I do? Give me a 1 to 10. How did I do? Thanks, honey. Thank you, Daisy. Watch your back.
How you cook the food? Cook the food?
Very nice. Thank you. So she's on the karaoke machine. I need hot stuff. What happened? Oh yeah, I'll take care of that. Okay. It's going to be stiff because when I put the glue in there, it'll be stiff until it wears in. I used a cyanide glue to fix a hair clip, but I put it on the hairpin kept falling out. They make this stuff so that it breaks. All right, so
No need for the salt.
what, honey?
No need for the salt, asin.
You're gonna make chicken lumpia? Is that what you're making? Or the meat? The meat. Yeah, the meat. You chop it up into small pieces like this big, like that, like cubes, ½ inch by ¼ inch by like 1 inch long, and then I will be the one to put it in the oil and cook it because I want to throw the eggs and the vegetables in with that. Okay, you chop it up. And also I would like to have some vegetables with, we could either use cabbage or the Chinese pichay, anything we got, okay? Okay, thank you. Everything is made to break. That's, yeah, the thing is almost brand new, and the pin, where's the clipper, honey? Where's the hair clip?
In my hair.
The hinge of the pin, the hinge pin, falls out a couple of hours after you buy it. So it's only like, what, 10, 12 pesos for those things? 10 pesos. It's only 20 cents, but it only lasts 20 minutes. As soon as you go like that with the hair clipper, Let me have the clip. Let me show them what I'm talking about. Thanks. This is the clip, okay? The pin, the hinge pin, right there. This is the thick part. And this is the small part. You go like this. And the pin walks out of the mechanism. And once the pin walks out, it could fall on the floor. You could put it back in, but it's not supposed to fall out. But they make it like that. So I put this cyanuric acid on there.
I always check.
502. By the way, if you live in the Philippines and you use a bonding cyanuric acid, I think it's called. I'm not real sure. You can mix it in with baking soda like this, and it becomes like concrete. That's what you see on my glasses. It's this cyanuric acid, and then you put it on the plastic, and then you just dump baking soda on with like a little applicator, and the baking soda becomes like a concrete base. So it's like a filler, but it's also like the glue will only go the thickness of a thick water or a thick liquid. But when you put baking soda on it, you just drop the baking soda on, and it hardens up within a few seconds. It's hard to the touch. Within a day or so, it's like a rock. It's like concrete. Then you can put more cyanuric acid on it after that, and more baking soda, and build it up to make it a strong base. Now that's what I did with my glasses. Now these are $15 glasses, but you can't buy them in the Philippines. So I used the cyanuric acid and just regular baking soda, Arm & Hammer baking soda. I had a product in America I bought that it hardened up similar to that. We used to use it in boat repair. You could repair almost any kind of plastic. It was cyanuric acid, but it was two-part. And you'd put the cyanuric glue on plastic. Say you were putting two pieces of plastic together, and normally you'd have to hold it together for a few minutes. There was a second part. You spray it on, and it hardens instantly. Within a tenth of a second, it's like a rock, and it goes into the groove or into the broken plastic. But you can also use baking soda in that and spray it. So they came out with new stuff since that stuff back in the 90s when I worked in a marine repair. But I remember the owner of the marine repair, Chris Carson, he got us all around. He goes, look at this stuff, and cyanuric acid and baking soda with the hardener, and it hardened like a rock. It went, and it went off. Here you go, honey. Thank you. So you
need to clip in my hair. You take it out in my hair, so you need to clip in my hair.
I'm gonna put it in your hair. Okay, hold on.
Do you know how?
I'll make it nice.
You roll a little, not so tight though.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah, clip.
It's up. Not good? I did good. She is a trip, man. She's a trip. Living with Daisy, an amazing girl. Amazingly smart. She can do so many things. I'll go outside and she's repairing something. 2 days ago, we did work. We did work together. I can't show. I should have made a video of the work that we did. She's an amazing girl. Amazingly, she does amazing stuff. So we did this work that we did together, and you would not think that a woman would be able to do that. No way would you think a woman could do some of the stuff that... She's amazingly strong as well. She's like a spring. She works out like 1 hour a day, Daisy does. How long have you been standing on one foot lately? Standing on one foot? Have you done that exercise lately?
Not an hour? No.
She used to be able to just pick one leg up, leg raise, not all the way even with her hip, but up in the air, and stand on one foot 30 minutes. I have a video of that somewhere on my other channel.
Only 1 hour, I think.
1 hour?
Maybe.
Maybe. And it was longer than 30 minutes. She did it on a boat, on the beach.
Can you do that?
No. Not a lot of people in the world can do that. She won the most energetic of 200 plus people Zumba, the most energetic Zumba dancer in Bohol in 2019, yeah? She's an amazingly strong girl. Yet, if you just pinch, a little pinch like that, ooh, that hurts. Oh, such a strong girl. She gets hurt when I give her a little pinch. Oh! Ah, my girl. One day we're going to do a show just for Daisy May. Okay, guys, we're getting ready to eat. Yeah? I'm getting hungry. I didn't have anything. I had a snack last night, but I'm ready.
Garlic, only the meat and the vegetable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have plenty of garlic. Yeah, chop up a little garlic. Well, yeah, chop up some garlic. That sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, Jack. Okay, I'll be careful, buddy, not to use it as well. So, if any of you guys are wondering whether or not I was really a contractor, you can ask that the handsome George Handsome. He's a real man. He does real man's work. I won't tell you what he does. He does landscaping. He had a landscaping and lawnmower business, but he also does work that you guys would be afraid to do what George does. You would be afraid. And I'm not kidding you. The stuff that George does puts the responsibility of several other people's lives under George's skill sets. And he does it well. So, and we're talking about big, giant, heavy things that would make your existence non-existent. George is a very skilled individual. I'm not kidding about that either. And he has pictures of that. Are we done? We're ready to cook? Okay, guys, we're going to go. We're going to go cook. Thanks for stopping by. God day to everybody. Remember, 9/11 was black magic. It was black magic. Don't make any mistake about it. Kamatra, Geomatra, the ancient Kabbalism, 9/11 was black magic, baby. Call it what you will. And you people eat it up like candy, because you people are dumb down. As Henry Kissinger would say, you people that believe the narrative of the 9/11 story are what Henry Kissinger would call useless eaters. Bye-bye for now. From Michael Fazio and Daisy May in the Philippines, baby. You people are the useless eaters if you believe the 9/11 narrative. There's no other way to put it. I'm Big Purdy from the Philippines, baby. That's right.